Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the Earthy Goodness Kitchen. My name is George and today we're going to be cooking 3 cauliflower recipes, each one as delicious as the last. If you've ever had boiled, overcooked cauliflower, you know just how bad it can be, and I can still remember the sort of sulfuric smell of it from school dinners. Ugh. But in these cooking recipes, I'll show you the best cooking methods and the flavors that pair perfectly with this vegetable. So with that in mind, let's get cooking. The first recipe is the simplest of the 3, but honestly packs the biggest punch in terms of flavor. The cauliflower is steamed to keep it nutritious and subtle in flavor, so a really nice bold dressing is the way to go. First things first, we're going to prep the cauliflower, and I always like to turn it over so that we're cutting through the stalks rather than through the florets, which are going to break apart really easily. Using a slightly smaller knife can be a little bit safer for this first part, and we're just going to cut around the core, which is going to dislodge the florets, like so. Should just break apart. And with the core, I actually quite like just eating it raw like an apple. But for most people, you might want to stir fry it or maybe use it in a slaw or salad. Poppy, stop eating my tripod. And let's see if you like a bit of cauliflower. Oh, I think she does. She's taking it away. And this knife is called a tomato knife. It's a small serrated knife. It only costs a few pounds and it's a really great kitchen tool. I'm going to do really quite small little like slices of cauliflower, which I think is going to be really nice steamed with this dressing. And I'm always cutting through the stem rather than the floret so we don't make a crumbly mess. Just make sure all the pieces of cauliflower are roughly the same thickness so that they cook evenly. Just like cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable and contains sulfur-based compounds, which can lead to a slightly unpleasant smell if overcooked. To avoid this, lightly steaming the cauliflower where it still has a slight bite and then pairing it with a lovely citrus dressing is the perfect antidote to this potential problem. And then I'm using my very makeshift steamer, which is just a sieve over some water in a pan. And I'll pop a lid over the top and let that steam for probably only like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, as they are quite thin pieces. So I ended up giving it 4 minutes. It's soft on the outside and slightly al dente in the middle. For this dressing, I'm using my trusty pestle and mortar, and we're going to start with 1 medium garlic clove. We're then going to add half a preserved lemon. We'll remove the seeds and the pith, so we just have the skin, which is going to be lovely and tangy and sweet. Just give that a rough chop and then we'll add it in with the garlic. Then for the herbs, I'm going to add some parsley, just the leaves for this dressing. And I'm also going to add some fresh coriander. And then we're just going to give this a really good pounding. You could do this in a food processor if you wanted to, or you could even use your knife for a sort of finely chopped version. A small pinch of salt can help with this process, but bear in mind the preserved lemon can be quite salty. Then once it's starting to break down, you can start doing more of a muddling technique where you're pushing down and moving the pestle around the mortar. I'm going for a sort of Middle Eastern style dressing here, but you could do an Italian salsa verde, or you could make chimichurri. That would be really nice on cauliflower. So we're just looking for a nice sort of green paste like this. I'm adding a touch of ground coriander for that lovely citrusy and bright flavor. And also just a little ground ginger adds a nice warming spice through this dressing. Now this is optional, but it's quite a nice addition. I'm adding a teaspoon of pomegranate molasses, which is lovely and tart and fruity. Oh, that's so good. I could drink that stuff. A couple tablespoons of olive oil, and then some lemon juice just to really bring it all together. Probably about a tablespoon. And then just gently muddle it all together to make a cohesive dressing. And then we'll give it a taste. Just a quick taste. Wow. That's making my mouth water. Wow, that's so good. Probably one of the tastiest things I've made in a while. This is a sure way to liven up some bland cauliflower. Absolutely delicious. And you can serve this hot or cold. It's going to be really tasty either way. And I think it'd be rude not to add a little of my micro broccoli on top. Mitzi hides out upstairs now, away from the crazy Poppy monster. You all seem to really enjoy these videos where I choose a specific video and show off a bunch of delicious cooking methods. So on my Patreon page, I asked my patrons which vegetable they'd like to see, and cauliflower was the winner. And if you want to support me in creating these videos and help decide what future videos are going to be sure to sign up to my Patreon page here, or there'll be a link in the description box. The first time I cooked this cauliflower rice was on a trial shift for a restaurant that I was applying to work in. This restaurant had a strong focus on cooking vegetables, and they were particularly keen on getting a deep caramelization on the outside of whatever they were cooking. For example, with this cauliflower rice, they'd pan fry it until lovely and golden, and it'd have an addictively nutty and Moorish flavor. We are breaking out the food processor for this cauliflower rice. So we'll just add in our florets. You can also use the stalk, just make sure to cut it up a bit smaller. And we're just going to pulse this into a rice-like texture. I've got this pan over a medium heat, and I'm going to add a few cumin seeds and some coriander seeds to make this cauliflower really nice and fragrant. And once you start to smell their lovely aroma, you can add in a couple tablespoons of olive oil or any oil of your choice. Then once the seeds are sizzling, add in your cauliflower. Give that a nice mix to get it all coated in the oil. I think I forgot to show you, but this is the sort of texture we're looking for with the cauliflower rice. I like it slightly coarse to have a really nice texture. And we're going to fry this until it's a really lovely golden color. You're welcome to do this salad with raw cauliflower as well if you wanted to. You can always just skip this step. And don't stir it too often, as you want to give it time to get really nice and caramelized. This is starting to get some really nice color on it, now that the moisture has been drawn out from the cauliflower. Okay, that is looking really nice now. It's got some nice color on it, so we can get on with the rest of the salad. We'll get the cauliflower rice into a large bowl, and then we're going to add in some additional ingredients. Starting with some fresh parsley, just finely chopped. These are blanched almonds that I've roasted in the air fryer for about 10 minutes at 160 degrees. They are so delicious. And we're just going to roughly chop them. I prefer to use these whole almonds over flaked almonds, as you can get them more deeply roasted and they've got a little bit more texture to them. Next, I've got these delicious chopped medjool dates. I think medjool dates are honestly one of my favorite things in the world, just like pure caramel. Then I've got some pomegranate for some really nice, fresh and crunchy bursts of sweetness. Goes really well with cauliflower. And then just give that a really good mix, and then we'll make the salad dressing. The dates do tend to kind of clump together, so just make sure you get them all nice and separated. I found cauliflower goes really well with creamy dressings, so we're going to make one using some soy yogurt, a touch of Dijon mustard, lemon juice, and then just some salt and pepper, and that is it. Really simple, but just brings this together nicely. And just give that a quick whisk. Pile your salad generously into a serving bowl. It's got so many lovely flavors and textures, this salad. And drizzle over your dressing, as much or as little as you like. And then finish it off with some extra roasted almonds and some pomegranate seeds. Give this a go, I promise you're going to absolutely love it. Adding cauliflower to your falafel mix is a real game changer. It gives them a lovely fresh flavor and a light and crispy texture on the outside. It's also a nice way to bulk out the mixture. I'm using canned chickpeas just for the convenience, but you can definitely use dried ones for a more traditional falafel. We'll start by adding the fresh herbs to a food processor. I've got coriander and parsley here. 2 pretty big handfuls. And then we're going to add onion and garlic. That's looking perfect. It's all just really nicely finely chopped. Okay, it's getting a bit late in the night and I forgot to film putting in the chickpeas. So I've just added these. They've been rinsed, drained, and then they've been dried really thoroughly. For spices, I'm keeping this really simple. We're gonna go for 1 teaspoon of ground cumin and 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. Then to help bind the falafels, I'm going to be adding some flour and some ground almonds. You could use chickpea flour if you don't want to use regular plain flour. Then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is going to make them really nice and light. And then just process this into it's sort of coarse but slightly sticky. So it was just starting to clump together, and that is when you know it's ready. This is the sort of texture that you're looking for. Forms into a ball really nicely, but it's not sticky and it's not dry either. I've already got my processed cauliflower from the cauliflower rice recipe. I did just process it a little bit more, so it was slightly finer though. And we're just going to mix this into the falafel mix. Cauliflower adds a nice bit of moisture to these falafels, which is always good. Not a huge fan of falafels when they're really dry. And we're just going to add a good pinch of salt to this to season it. 2 nice pinches. And then nice and simply, we're just going to roll this out into balls. Just like that, that's perfect. And then for an optional step, which I quite like, is to just roll them in some sesame seeds. This adds a nice nutty crunch to the outside. These are ready for the oven or the air fryer. They just need a quick spray with oil, or you can brush it on. It's going to help them get really nice and crispy. And then into the air fryer with the crisper basket, and just make sure you've got some space in between each one to ensure it gets lovely and crispy. I'm going to air fry these at around 190 for 15 minutes, turning them halfway. Thank you for watching. For a similar video but with the vegetable beetroot, check out this video.